Lionel Messi is widely considered the greatest footballer to ever live. 8 Ballon d'Or awards, multiple Champions League titles, a World Cup, records that will probably never be broken. A career so statistically absurd that people genuinely argue about whether he is even human. But here is a question that sounds silly until you actually think about it. What if Messi was born in 1750? Same DNA, same brain, same feet that make professional defenders look like they are running in wet concrete. Same gift that made an entire planet stop and watch him play football. Just born in the wrong century. No Camp Nou. No Barcelona Academy. No football at all, actually, because football as we know it didn't exist yet. No talent scouts. No youth leagues. No Argentina national team. Just a short kid in 18th century Rosario with extraordinary feet and absolutely nowhere to put them. Would the greatest of all time still become the greatest of all time? Or would history never know he existed? The answer involves genetics, timing, and a truth about greatness that most people are not ready to hear. Let's start with what Messi actually is at a biological level, because his gifts are not normal even by professional footballer standards. Messi has an extraordinarily low center of gravity. His body is built in a way that makes him almost impossible to knock off the ball. His hips, his height, his muscle distribution all combine into something that sports scientists have described as nearly perfectly engineered for close ball control at speed. His spatial awareness, the ability to process where every player on the pitch is and calculate the best decision in a fraction of a second, is neurological. It is not something you coach into someone, it is wiring, and his left foot has a level of fine motor control that researchers have compared to concert pianists. The precision is genetic. All of that exists in 1750 Messi. The DNA doesn't change. The problem is DNA is just potential. And potential, without the right conditions, doesn't become greatness. It just becomes a man who is surprisingly good at walking through crowds. Here's what Messi is walking into if he is born in 1750 in Rosario, Argentina. Except Rosario barely exists yet. In 1750, it is a tiny colonial settlement of a few hundred people on the edge of a river. No roads worth mentioning, no infrastructure. Spain controls the territory and has zero interest in developing it beyond extracting whatever resources they can ship back to Europe. Life expectancy in that era hovers on 35 to 40 years. Infant mortality is staggering. The growth hormone deficiency that Messi was treated for as a child, the same treatment that Barcelona famously agreed to fund as a condition of signing him at age 13, goes completely undiagnosed and untreated in 1750, which means 1750, Messi probably doesn't grow past the height his condition would naturally leave him at. He is small in a world that has no use for small, with no system around him to identify or develop whatever gift he was born with. He is just a short kid trying to survive. But wait, if the genetics are real, if the spatial awareness, the motor control, the processing speed are all genuinely baked into his DNA, couldn't those gifts show up somewhere else? Theoretically, yes. And this is where it gets interesting. The neurological gifts that make Messi extraordinary on a football pitch are not football specific. Spatial processing at that level, the ability to read patterns and make split-second decisions with precise physical execution, those are transferable. In 1750, those skills might surface in craftsmanship. Watchmaking was the cutting-edge technology of the era and required exactly the kind of extraordinary fine motor control and spatial intelligence Messi has in his feet. Master craftsmen were the most respected professionals in Europe, or warfare. Military commanders who could read a battlefield and make split-second tactical decisions under pressure were legendary figures in that era. Napoleon was born just 19 years after our hypothetical 1750 Messi. The gift survives. But without football, it finds a completely different door, and nobody outside his village ever hears his name. Here is the uncomfortable truth that this whole thought experiment leads to. Greatness is not just talent. Greatness is talent plus timing plus infrastructure plus luck of birth location, and it all has to line up at the same time. Psychologist Anders Ericsson spent decades studying world-class performers across every field. His research consistently showed that elite performance requires not just innate ability, but access to quality coaching from an early age, a system built to identify and develop that ability, and competitive environments that push the talent to its absolute limit. Barcelona's La Masia Academy, the Argentine football culture, the global infrastructure of professional football that meant a scout could watch a 13-year-old kid in Rosario and fly him to Spain within weeks. All of that had to exist. Remove any single piece of it, and Messi is just a man with extraordinary feet who nobody ever gave a reason to use them properly. There are people alive right now with gifts equivalent to Messi's, in fields that don't exist yet, in places with no system to find them. We will never know their names, and 1750, Messi is one of them, the greatest footballer who ever lived, working quietly at a watchmaker's bench somewhere in colonial South America with no idea what he could have been.